Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Kasey and you're watching TheChowDown, and in today's video I'm going to show you how to make these pumpkin gnocchis, which make a great starter or side dish to a nice warm and cozy fall meal. So I have my ingredients here in front of me. You're going to need about 20 fresh sage leaves, 1 1/3 cups canned pumpkin, 2 1/2 cups flour, 1 cup of ricotta, 2/3 cup Parmesan cheese, a half teaspoon salt, pepper, and nutmeg, and 2 eggs. To start out, I'm going to place my pumpkin in a paper towel lined strainer in the sink to remove some of the moisture. This will allow you to use less flour and result in a more tender dough. And you'll want to have about a cup of pumpkin left, to which I'm going to add to a bowl with my ricotta, flour, eggs, Parmesan cheese, and spices. And I'm just going to mix all of those ingredients up until they're nice and well incorporated, but I'm going to ensure that I don't overmix the dough. Overmixing will create a tough dough and a chewy finished product. Now I'm going to flour my counter and turn my dough out. And I'm going to flour my hands and just knead the dough very briefly, just so it's all nice and together, and I'm going to form it into a little rectangle basically. Next, I'm going to take my bench scraper and cut my dough into 6 equal pieces. After the first attempt, I realized it was much easier to flour your bench scraper first and then cut your dough. And you can you can estimate here, but try to get 6 even pieces. Then I'm just going to roll out my dough and try to make it as even as possible. Then I'm using my bench scraper again to cut my dough into even pieces about 1/2 inch long. I'm not really sure. Just use your eye, however big you want your pieces to be. And then I'm just using a fork to create that little indentation or mark in gnocchis that you see in the grocery store. It's also helpful to flour your fork as well. That'll make this much easier, which I learned after this first roll of dough. And I'm just going to do that for all my gnocchi and place them on a lined and floured baking sheet. And I'm just going to repeat this process until I've made gnocchi out of all my pieces of dough. While I was prepping my gnocchi, I had a pot of water on the stove coming to a boil, and I just added salt, and gently I'm adding my gnocchi into the pot. I'm cooking my gnocchi in 2 batches so they don't clump together and they have enough room to brown in the saute pan. And this is the first batch, and I'm just going to give them a quick stir just to make sure that they don't all stick together. And while those are cooking, I'm going to heat up some butter in the pan in the back there. And as you can see, as my butter and oil are heating up, you can see the gnocchi are floating to the top, and that's when you know they're done. So I'm just going to take this strainer and try to get rid of as much water as possible and go right into the hot pan with the butter. And I'm going to brown my gnocchi with the butter for about 5 to 8 minutes. You want to have a nice brown crispy coating on your gnocchi, and you want your butter to be slightly brown. As my gnocchi are cooking in the pan, I'm just going to lightly stir them around with a slotted spoon. I'm also going to add my sage leaves as well so they can get nice and crisp. I also decided at the last minute to add chopped walnuts to this dish. These are optional, but I'm adding them now so they have a chance to toast up, and I think I added maybe a couple tablespoons. And here are the gnocchi almost finished. You can see they're starting to get nice and brown on the outside, which adds a nice texture to the gnocchi. And I decided to have my gnocchi as a side dish today with grilled chicken and asparagus. And that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed this recipe. Please give it a thumbs up if you did, and subscribe to my channel for more recipe videos.